Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I hope that you are all good. In today's video, we're going to be doing a spring fade using the WowBao Acrylic System. I have already applied my tip and a thin clear acrylic base, so we're able to jump straight into the design. And I have left all of this design in real time because that was recently requested. So jumping on to the design, I'm coming in with WowBao's Sour Apples. This is such a gorgeous colour and I love the consistency because it's so easy to work with. So as you see, I've placed my bead of acrylic down and I'm simply painting that down to the very free edge of the nail. I'm not worrying with that first bead about creating a fade because I'm going to come in with a slightly wetter bead here to do that. So I'm placing this second bead of acrylic down, tapping it out into place, and then I'm just flipping my brush around and blending that back just so that there's no harsh line for our next colour to go over the top of. Now I wasn't 100% worried about creating a perfect acrylic fade on this nail because I always knew that I was coming over the top with my glitter. But I'm just smoothing that out and making sure that there's a nice thin coat of colour and it's as even and as smooth as possible. Now the very tip of the nail looked a little bit sheer, just where I'd pulled the acrylic down and it hadn't quite reached all of the way. So I'm coming in with a teeny tiny bead right at the tip of the nail and blending that back into the previous beads of acrylic. Again, making sure it's all nice and smooth. And just how gorgeous is this colour? Now I did leave the sour apples to set for a minute or two before I come in with my nude, just because I find it a lot easier to do a fade when I let that first colour set. So here I'm coming in at the cuticle area with Crown Peach, tapping that into place at the cuticle area, bringing in the sides of the acrylic and then just fading that down the nail. I'm not worried at this point about creating a too perfect fade because I'll do that with my second bead of acrylic. I'm just focusing on getting a nice neat cuticle area and getting that nail bed area covered. I did run into my side walls ever so slightly, so I'm just pushing that acrylic into place and cleaning up the sides. Just blending that down with a nice feathery light stroke. And then for the second bead of acrylic, I'm going to come in with this slightly wetter just so it blends over that bright colour a little bit easier. As you see, I've pushed it back into the previous bead of nude acrylic just so that there's no patchiness and there's a nice even coverage. And then I'm blending that down over the sour apples. Now I probably would have spent a little bit more time perfecting this ombre if I was leaving it plain, but because I knew I was coming over the top with that glitter, I didn't want to waste any time. Now the gorgeous glitter I'm using is Spring Awakening from Charlie's Nail Art. I love this mix. It's a perfect one for the current spring Easter season. I do also have a discount code for Charlie's which I'll leave in the description box below, along with all of the links to the products I've used today. Now I've picked this glitter up using a teeny tiny bead of clear acrylic. So I've picked that wet small bead of acrylic up and dipped straight into my raw glitter, placing it down on the nail, and then I'm leaving a lot of the monomer in my brush so I'm able to move those glitter pieces around into place. Especially when you're working with chunkier glitters or multi-cut glitters, it's a lot easier if you've got a wet acrylic brush because it stops the glitter pieces sticking into your brush. Now sometimes you'll see I pick up the glitter using a small bead of acrylic. Sometimes I just use my wet brush. It depends on how I'm placing the pieces of glitter. Like here I just needed a teeny tiny amount, so I've just used my wet brush because I'm tapping that around the acrylic I've already applied anyway, so I don't need to add any unnecessary product. Now this is such a fun, beautiful mix. There's the bunny heads in there as you can see. There's also some hearts and some larger pink hexes. So I'm kind of just picking pieces out of the glitter mix that I want to use. I loved how those brighter pink pieces tied in with the bright green acrylic, so I'm just adding them where I feel that they will look pretty. And I absolutely loved how this design looked. I'd happily wear a full set of these. Now we're going to come in and encapsulate. So when I'm encapsulating a long nail like this one, I like to start roughly 3/4 of the way down the nail. And with this encapsulation layer, we're making sure we're encapsulating our glitters and our colours, but we're also making sure that we're building up the strength and the structure of the nail. So as you can see, I've placed that bead of acrylic down and I'm just walking it down to the very free edge of the nail, using quite light feathery strokes with my brush because I don't want to pull too much of the product off. I'm kind of just patting it into place. Keeping my sidewalls as neat as possible. The neater your acrylic application, the less finish filing you're going to have. So I kind of always like to spend a little bit of time just perfecting that application. Then I'm going to come in with my next bead of acrylic, so I'm slowly working my way down the nail and blending out the back of this bead of acrylic so that my next bead doesn't have a huge ridge to move over the top. As you can see, I'm then pushing in the sides of that acrylic, just focusing that product going down the centre of the nail. And then I'm just gently blending that down over the previous bead of acrylic, just so that there's no shadowing or patchiness between those different beads that we're using. Always wiping and cleaning up my sidewalls because again, then you're going to have less excess acrylic to file off. Now I'm coming in with my apex bead, so I'm placing this down right in that apex area. I'm going to blend it up into the cuticle area ever so slightly. The nude acrylic we've used is a core powder, so I don't need to worry about taking it right up to the cuticle area. So I just ever so slightly blend it in. Then I'm leaving the bulk of that product in the apex area because that's where we want to build up most of the thickness for our nail. So again, I'm just gently blending out the sides and the top of that bead of acrylic. Then I'm going to look at the nail from all angles and just see if there's any areas that are a little bit thin or uneven. So I felt as though the very tip and the center of the nail was a little bit thin. So I've come in with another bead of acrylic, blended that back, and then I'm just walking that down the nail just to build up the thickness ever so slightly. Again, I'm keeping my application as neat as possible. So you can see my brush has a nice amount of monomer in it. So I'm able to wipe and move that acrylic into place without it sticking to my brush. Any of the excess acrylic that I pull off, I'm just wiping it off on my paper towel, which is just out of shot. And then as you can see here, I've built up my apex in the back third of the nail, and then it tapers off to the thinnest point, which is the very tip of the nail. I then allowed the acrylic to go matte, but I kept on feeling it using my fingers because I'm just trying to find that right point to come in and pinch it. I only want to pinch it slightly just to bring in the sidewalls so it looks a little bit more narrow. And then off camera, I did do all of the filing. So I filed and buffed all of the nail, made sure to clean away all of the dust, and we're then going to come in and top coat. So I'm top coating using the WowBao's Diamond No Wipe top coat. I'm absolutely loving this top coat. As I said in every video that I've used it in since I got it, it gives off such a clear glass finish. The clarity on it is just amazing. So I'm applying a thin coat of that to the entire nail. Once I've applied that, I'm going to pop it in my LED lamp to cure for 60 seconds. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I really want to try and get some more spring and Easter designs out there, but I'm trying to just fit it all in with things being crazy busy at the moment. But I really enjoyed doing this design, so I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did, then please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So I then popped this in to cure, and then after it had cured, I always allow my top coat a minute or two to cool before I come in and apply my cuticle oil. Now I'm using the Kiki London Sweet Peach Cuticle Oil, so I'm just going to pop a drop of this down at my cuticle area, really rub and massage it in to help replenish all of the skin. And that, guys, is the finished result. Like I said, just a short and sweet video, but I hope you all enjoyed watching. If you do have any requests, then please do pop them in the comments below. I hope you're all doing okay and keeping safe and well. Have a lovely weekend, and I shall see you in the next video. Lots of love. Bye bye.